Hey guys, I wanted to try making a video just to showcase my arena team, talk a little bit about arena itself, showcase my units, and then maybe showcase the team with a couple arena matches. This is a Wombo-Combo team that I've been having a lot of success with. Obviously some of these units might be considered premium units. Helga I actually pulled for free when I first started playing the game. I did get really lucky to get Shaolin and Kerr though later on by spending crystals. So not exactly a free-to-play friendly team. There's a little bit of luck involved there, I won't deny that. But let's jump right into talking about Arena. I'm sitting at Master Tier, I think somewhere around position 113 right now. Nothing special, but I've worked pretty hard to get there, and I would definitely say that I know a thing or two at this level about general team compositions in Arena. And what I really want to say, I guess, is that once you get up to platinum, diamond, or master levels, your team needs to have a strategy or gimmick, something that can help you on offense to get through the enemy's AI, right? There's not an actual player fighting back against you, it's just the AI of their units. So your team, with you behind it, needs to pull off some sort of a strategy. One that I've seen a lot, and I think YDCB uses, is to use Adonis and permanently keep yourself shielded, or at least as long as you possibly can. And you can use units like Rock Jun or Carlotta to lower the cooldowns on that shield and just keep it up the whole time. That's extremely common in high level arena. My team with this Wombo-Combo, I don't run into it very often, but it's another really effective one. It's almost infallible on offense, but I imagine that this holds up terribly on defense. So let me just quickly run you through my units and what they do. If you already know what all these units do, go ahead and skip ahead a little bit to just watch some of the gameplay. But really quickly, I've got my Helga on full damage with her orbs. She is a buffer, but she also does deal respectable damage. She's attack scaling, which is why I have her on Bravery orbs. And I've spent a lot of money to plus 15 her slot 2 orb there. Her first skill is Esperanza, and it does a meager amount of damage, but it also debuffs the enemy. Not really a big deal for my Wombo-Combo team because I'm going to say this multiple times about all of my units, but we're just trying to kill the enemy in like 3 seconds flat. So lowering their damage, not a huge deal, but it's amazing in PvE and longer PvP fights. Her skill 2 is the bread and butter of Helga. It's called Persona, and it buffs your team's damage, and more importantly, it buffs the status activation chance. That's your burns, your bleeds, your poison, and I believe it even is for stuns, which is why my team works. Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I feel like I never miss a stun as long as Persona is up. So yeah, that is Helga, and very, very important for this particular team that you get the skill cooldown reduction as high as possible. You can't start the fight with Persona on cooldown. You'll just lose because you'll miss a stun or you'll miss a bleed, etc. So I have her about 20%. I'd like to get her up to 25%. I'd also like to get her buff duration a little bit higher, specifically for PvE. But for this team, 8% is fine. They'll die before her buff runs out. Next unit is Shaolin, and what she does is another damaging ability as her skill 1, and the most important thing that this does is it magnifies the damage the enemy takes by 45%. It also technically buffs your team's damage, however that doesn't stack with Persona, so you're really only getting the debuff on the enemy, meaning they're going to take bonus damage. So with Helga's Persona plus Hand of Despair from Shaolin, you're doing 50% more damage from your team, and they're taking 45% extra damage. It's just crazy amounts of damage, right? And then her skill 2, incredibly handy against Adonis teams, is called Invincible, which is hilarious because what I do is I use it to take away invincibility shields. It stuns, which is amazing with my team comp. It also removes a shield, which is why I said it's anti-Adonis, and it even removes buffs. I really want to focus on this skill a little bit more for her with my, what do you call them? Everyone calls them bobs, but the guys that give you skill levels. And that's primarily because she'll reduce 2 buffs once you get to higher levels on Invincible. I have her also on full damage with Bravery orbs. And for her skill details, I think her orbs aren't amazing. Yeah, nothing really stands out except her skill cooldown reduction for the same reason that it's important on Helga. You want her abilities ready at the start of the fight. Debuff duration, she's got a little bit of that. which is great because she debuffs, right? Alright, finally is Kerr, and pretty much everyone should know what Kerr does. He's a beast, borderline overpowered in my opinion. He scales off health, so he makes your team innately more tanky, and then he's got 4 different stuns over the course of a long fight, theoretically. His skill 1 is a stun and a bleed, and his skill 2 is a stacking skill which stacks up to 3 times. Each stack stuns, and it also removes 1 to 2 buffs, and at the level I have him at, it's only 1 buff, but it does scale up to 2. And I have him on pretty crappy orbs, primarily health, and then skill cooldown reduction, just like all the other ones, because you need the abilities to be ready at the start of the fight. If I was going to do anything else for him, it would be disable duration. You can see I only have that at 8%. His disable is his stun, and it's 3 or 3.5 seconds. So to get an extra whole second out of those skills, you'd need like 33% disable duration increase. Because right now I'm just buffing it by milliseconds, right? 8% of 3 seconds is not very much. But yeah, that's my core team. The final slot, the striker down here, was really hard to choose. I ended up working with Paper Sierra because she buffs the final damage of Paper Heroes by 7%. And I have Helga on full damage, and Kerr is my bleeder. They're both paper units, and she buffs all of the damage that those 2 guys put out. So that's the team. Let's take a quick look at how it works. The emulator is having a brain fart. Alright, so we'll head to Arena. Right, so I'm at rank 115 right now, Master 1. I know I can push higher with this team, but I really don't want to spend money on Arena Swords right now. Probably later in the week, just to see how far I can go, I will buy some with crystals. But let's give the team a shot. Alright, so immediately we're up against a paper target. We're scissors. I'm feeling great about that. And hopefully what you should see when we load in is that all of our skills come off cooldown really quickly, right? So we've got Persona there. I'm going to debuff them and stun them. And then I'm going to wait a couple seconds, stack my second stun, and it's basically over. And I think that was 5 seconds, right? Matches start at 75 seconds. So that is our goal, right? To kill them 5 seconds or less, I would say. Alright. This is a Rock Julian team. That means it's probably going to be a burst team. And as long as I can get my CC off, they should die incredibly quickly. Not tanky at all. And that's what you can see. The health just melts away. I barely got through any of my skill rotations there. This guy's got the new skin. Now before this fight starts, I want to take a quick second, pause that, just to talk about the sequence I'm using on my skills and why. It should be pretty apparent if you heard me going over the skills, but I'm trying to stack things in a certain order, right? So I use the skill 2 of Helga, Persona, to make sure that I land all my debuffs, and also that all the damage we're putting out is going to be stronger. I cast that right at the beginning because it lasts 12 or 13 seconds at my level, which is plenty of time. Then I use Shaolin's skill 1, which will, as long as it lands, amplify the damage that the enemies take. So any of the subsequent skills will do extra 45% damage on the enemy, which is amazing. Then I use Kerr's skill 1, which will be the initial stun to freeze up the team. And it will also apply that bleed, which will do increased damage because of Shaolin's debuff, and 7% increased damage because of the Sierra leader skill as my striker. So those are the core 3 things that have to happen first. After that, I will generally just kind of take a quick breath because my palms get sweaty and I get stressed out playing Arena, and slam Kerr's skill 2. That will buy me another couple seconds, which I can usually use to get off Helga's skill 1 for a final bit of damage, and if I need to, I'll use Shaolin's skill 2. Teams that I'm facing, like this one right now with an Adonis, they're really the only ones that can mess me up. If Adonis somehow resists a stun and he gets off his invulnerability shield, Shaolin's skill 2 is the only thing I have to remove that, and it could theoretically get resisted. Somebody on Reddit told me that there's a 1 or 2 second window when his shield first goes up that you can't strip it, and I need to dig more into that because that does seem to be the case. So if he manages to get shield up, I will wait a couple of seconds and then strip it with Shaolin and hopefully still have enough leftover damage to burst through whatever health they have left. So you can see there he did get the shield up because I was slow, and I did not manage to strip it. So here we go, completely losing. I'm actually kind of glad because it will just showcase the fact that this team is fallible. This does not typically happen. I was a little bit slow on my clicking, I suppose. But really, this is the kind of team that can beat me. 2 defense scaling units. My team doesn't have any defense penetration, so to burst them down is kind of hard to begin with. But then on top of that, I let Adonis get his shield up, which is completely my own fault, and they finished me off. Let's see if we can do better this time. We did get the initial stun. Wait a second. Get the second stun, and they're done for. Usually I can kind of gauge, based on how fast their health is going down, if I can just spam the rest of my skills instead of trying to more appropriately space out the stuns. It took a while to get to a point where I was comfortable doing that, but I think I pretty much got it figured out now. Hello, Vietnam. I love to see people's names. I run into a lot of names with Asian characters that I don't understand, but you will sometimes see some really funny things in English. Uh-oh, uh-oh. There we go. Looks like we're completely safe. Squishy, squishy team. So yeah, that's the combo. Other than that one loss that I had there, which is definitely kind of an outlier, and probably because I'm recording the first video I've ever recorded, this team does amazingly well. So if you're lucky enough to have these kinds of premium units and can spend the time farming up orbs with enough cooldown reduction to get this consistent for you in Arena, I highly recommend giving it a shot. And if you face a team like this, on defense, you should feel lucky knowing that it's quite fallible in that position because it really relies on proper skill sequencing, right? Helga would have to cast her persona first, Kerr would have to be lucky and land his stuns. This team could definitely still beat you on defense, but mine in particular, with mostly offensive orbs on all the units, is going to be made of paper, and you'll just cut right through them, especially if you can get a shield up. So yeah. Thank you for watching this first ever video. If you'd like to see another video in the future where I talk about something different, let me know. And please also let me know if you noticed anything I did wrong, any information I said wrong, etc.